Wait, stop everything. February 2026 is not a normal month. I'm looking at this list and my brain is short-circuiting. We've got the return of a legendary JRPG, a Souls-like sequel that nobody saw coming, and a horror title that could redefine the genre. Seriously, if you thought your backlog was safe, you were wrong. So wrong. This is the month where the PS5 library gets absolutely ridiculous. Let's dive in. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what the gameplay loop is going to be like in Starsand Island. The trailers are vague, the press releases are mostly buzzwords, but none of that matters because the art style and atmosphere are doing all the heavy lifting. It's this incredible, almost hand-painted aesthetic, like a watercolor sketchbook came to life and decided to make a survival game. The color palette is muted, heavy on the sepia and deep blues, which gives the whole world this profound sense of melancholy and isolation. It's not just good graphics, it's a deliberate, cohesive visual language that tells a story before a single line of dialogue is spoken. You can feel the dampness in the air, the weight of the silence. It's a bold choice, moving away from the hyper-realism we see everywhere else, and it creates a unique kind of visual friction. I'm drawn to it purely because it looks like nothing else on the console right now. It's a huge gamble. For the small studio behind it, betting everything on a mood rather than a mechanic. This one feels risky, and that's why I'm curious. I want to see if that visual poetry can sustain a full-length game experience, or if the beauty is just skin-deep. If they pull it off, this will be the game people talk about for its sheer, unadulterated vibe. When you talk about a next-gen flight combat game, you have to talk about technical ambition and scale, and Aces of Thunder is swinging for the fences. They're promising a fully simulated global weather system that dynamically affects lift, drag, and visibility in real time, all while rendering hundreds of units on the ground and in the air. This isn't just a graphical upgrade, it's a simulation leap. The sheer computational power required to manage that level of environmental fidelity alongside the high-speed action is staggering. The developers have been very vocal about pushing the PS5's SSD and CPU to their absolute limits to minimize loading times between massive continent-spanning missions. It's the kind of game that, if it works, will be a benchmark for years. But that's the big if. I'm more interested in the idea than the execution here, because history is littered with games that promised this level of seamless, hyper-detailed simulation and crumbled under the weight of their own ambition. I'm watching the early footage and thinking, can they really maintain 60 frames per second when a lightning storm hits a dogfight over a fully destructible city? The concept is a 10-10, a true showcase for the hardware, but the sheer complexity of the engineering makes me approach the release with a healthy dose of skepticism mixed with awe. This is Dragon Quest VII, a game that, for many, is the definitive entry in the series, and the focus here has to be on its deep cultural and mythological influence. It's not just a JRPG, it's a living museum of Japanese folklore and classic fantasy tropes, filtered through the unique, gentle lens of Akira Toriyama's design. The core loop of traveling to past islands to restore them to the present is a beautiful narrative device that taps into a universal human desire to fix history. It's a game about archaeology, about the weight of the past, and about the quiet, persistent heroism of ordinary people. The reimagined part means they've updated the presentation, but the heart of the game, its deliberate pacing, its charmingly simple morality, and its focus on small, self-contained stories, remains untouched. This game feels slow in a good way. It's a deliberate counterpoint to the frantic, open-world chaos of modern gaming. It demands patience, rewarding you with deep, satisfying character progression and a world that feels genuinely ancient and full of forgotten secrets. It's a masterclass in how to use established cultural touchstones to build a world that feels both familiar and endlessly surprising. Lovish is a title that's been flying under the radar, and I think it's because it's not trying to be a blockbuster. Instead, it's laser-focused on its story tone and emotional hook. This is a narrative-driven adventure that deals with themes of grief, memory, and the complex, messy reality of long-term relationships. The tone is quiet, intimate, and devastatingly real. It uses subtle environmental storytelling and fragmented memories to piece together the life of a couple, rather than relying on heavy-handed exposition. The emotional hook is the ambiguity. The trailer suggests a tragedy, but the gameplay seems to be about finding beauty and acceptance in the aftermath. It's the kind of game that asks you to bring your own life experience to the table, to project your own fears and hopes onto the characters. I don't need this to be perfect, just honest. I'm not looking for flawless mechanics or groundbreaking graphics. I'm looking for a story that resonates, that makes me feel something genuine and uncomfortable. If the writing holds up and the voice acting is as raw as the early clips suggest, this could be one of those rare games that sticks with you long after the credits roll. Not because you beat a boss, but because you felt a character's pain. Team Ninja is back, and for Nioh 3, the only thing that matters is the combat feel and mechanics. This is where the series truly shines, and the third installment is doubling down on the complexity and speed. It's not just about dodging and striking, it's about the key pulse system, the stance switching, the weapon transformations, and the sheer, overwhelming flow of a perfect encounter. The new Phantom Shift mechanic they teased, a split-second high-risk parry that transitions into a temporary yokai form, looks like it will raise the skill ceiling even higher. Every single action, from a light attack to a full burst counter, is designed to feel weighty, responsive, and deeply satisfying. The thwack of a katana connecting, the flash of a successful key pulse, the immediate punishment for a mistimed dodge. It's a language spoken through the controller. This is the kind of game that sneaks up on you. You start off feeling clumsy and overwhelmed, but slowly, meticulously, you learn the grammar of the combat, and suddenly you're dancing through encounters that seemed impossible an hour ago. It's a pure, unadulterated action RPG experience, where the mechanics are the story and mastery is the reward. The original Carmageddon was pure, chaotic fun, but for Rogue Shift to matter in 2026, it needs a serious hook, and that hook is its innovation in new mechanics. They've introduced a procedural destruction system called Fracture Net. It's not just pre-canned damage models. Every single piece of the environment, from a lamppost to a multi-story parking garage, is a network of breakable nodes. This means every crash, every explosion, and every pedestrian you flatten results in a unique, physics-driven cascade of destruction. More importantly, this destruction is now a resource. You collect fracture points from the wreckage to power up temporary vehicle abilities, essentially turning the act of causing mayhem into a strategic element. The trailer didn't sell me, but the dev diary did. The trailer looked like a standard arcade racer, but the deep dive into the Fracture Net system showed a genuine attempt to evolve the genre beyond simple racing and combat. It's a bold, physics-heavy idea that could make every single run feel completely different, forcing players to adapt their driving style based on the environment they're actively tearing apart. Forget the racing for a second. What has me captivated by JDM, Japanese Drift Master, is the world design and exploration. This isn't just a track racer, it's an open-world recreation of a specific, romanticized slice of Japanese car culture. They've meticulously modeled sections of the Japanese countryside and mountain passes, not just for the perfect cornering lines, but for the atmosphere. The neon-lit convenience stores, the quiet, misty backroads, the hidden touge runs. It's all there. The focus is on the journey between races, the feeling of cruising with your highly customized machine, and the discovery of new spots to practice. It's a love letter to the aesthetic of late-night street racing. The map isn't just a backdrop. It's a character in itself, full of secrets and environmental details that reward a slow, deliberate drive as much as a high-speed drift. I'm worried this is going to be too much of a good thing. The map looks enormous, and while that promises endless hours of content, I hope they've managed to fill it with enough meaningful activities and not just repetitive filler. The potential for a truly immersive, atmospheric driving sandbox is immense, but the sheer scale is a daunting prospect for any developer. Romeo Is a Dead Man is a cyberpunk noir RPG, and while the setting is cool, the real draw is the promise of unparalleled player freedom and choices. The developers have been boasting about a consequence engine that tracks every major and minor decision, leading to genuinely branching narratives. We're talking about choices that don't just change the ending slide, but fundamentally alter the available missions, the loyalty of your crew, and even the layout of the city's districts. The core mechanic is that you can choose to be a ruthless killer, a silver-tongued diplomat, or a ghost who avoids conflict entirely, and the game world will react dynamically. There are no right answers, only your answers. This is pure comfort food, and I'm ready for seconds. It's leaning heavily into that classic BioWare Obsidian style of dialogue-heavy, morally gray decision-making. And honestly, sometimes you just want a game that lets you roleplay without constantly forcing you down a linear path. If they deliver on the depth of the choice system, this will be a mandatory multiple playthrough title. The latest BlazBlue spin-off, Entropy Effect X, is a roguelite action game, and the entire design philosophy is built around replay value and long-term appeal. The core fighting mechanics are already rock solid, but the roguelite structure is what gives it legs. You're not just unlocking new characters, you're unlocking entropy factors, hundreds of permanent and temporary modifiers that radically change how each character plays. A run isn't just about getting to the end. It's about experimenting with insane, broken builds, stacking synergistic abilities until your character becomes a screen-clearing demigod. The sheer number of combinations means that even after dozens of hours, you'll still be discovering new ways to play your favorite character. It's a niche title, but it's going to own that niche. The barrier to entry is high because of the complex fighting game DNA, but for the players who click with the high-speed, combo-heavy action, this is the kind of game that eats up hundreds of hours. It's designed to be a permanent fixture on your hard drive, a game you can always jump back into for a quick, high-octane run. The Yakuza team, now known as Ryuga Gotoku Studio, has one of the most consistent developer reputations in the industry, and this double-pack release is a testament to that. But there's a risk here too. Kiwami 3 is a remake of a game that was already a bit divisive, and Dark Ties is a brand new, smaller-scale side story. The risk isn't in the quality of the brawling or the side content. RGG always delivers there. It's in the narrative transition. They're bridging a major gap in the timeline, and they have to satisfy both the hardcore fans who know the lore inside and out, and the newer players who jumped in with Like a Dragon. The studio has earned our trust by consistently delivering games that are simultaneously hilarious, heartbreaking, and deeply weird. They are masters of tone. I'm just hoping they stick the landing on the final act. The studio's reputation means we expect a certain level of emotional payoff, and with a story as complex and beloved as Kiryu's, the pressure to get the emotional beats right in Dark Ties is immense. It's a high-wire act, but if anyone can pull it off, it's RGG. You know what High on Life 2 is going to be. Irreverent, colorful, and packed with talking guns. But let's focus on the unsung hero of the first game, which is the music and sound design. The sequel is promising an even more ambitious, dynamic soundtrack that shifts not just with combat, but with the mood of the talking weapons. Imagine a jazz-funk bass line kicking in when your pistol starts a philosophical rant, or a sudden shift to lo-fi hip-hop when you enter a chill hub area. The soundscape is deliberately chaotic, layered with overlapping dialogue, bizarre alien noises, and a soundtrack that feels like a curated playlist of intergalactic garage bands. It's an auditory assault, but in the best possible way. Forget the graphics. This is all about the vibe. The visual style is great, but the sound is what truly immerses you in this bizarre, Justin Roiland-esque universe. It's a game that understands that comedy is often about timing and delivery, and the sound design is the engine that drives that comedic timing, making the world feel alive, loud, and utterly unhinged. Reanimal is a post-apocalyptic survival game, but the developers are pushing the boundaries of immersion and realism with their Hypersense system. This system simulates everything from the player character's adrenaline levels and heart rate to the subtle scent trails left by the mutated wildlife. It's designed to make you feel vulnerable and constantly on edge. The game doesn't use a traditional HUD. All information, health, hunger, temperature, is conveyed through subtle visual and auditory cues like labored breathing or blurred vision. The goal is to eliminate the interface barrier between the player and the world. Honestly, I'm just here for the chaos. While the realism is the technical selling point, the result is a game where every encounter is a terrifying, unpredictable mess. The high-fidelity simulation means that a simple scavenging run can turn into a desperate, messy fight for survival based on factors you can barely control, like a sudden downpour washing away a scent trail or a spike in your character's panic, attracting nearby predators. It's the kind of deep, unforgiving simulation that hardcore survival fans crave. Obsidian's new fantasy RPG, Avowed, has a lot of hype. But the thing I'm most focused on is the promise of revolutionary AI systems and enemy behavior. They've talked about an adaptive tactics AI that allows enemies to dynamically assess the environment, communicate with each other, and change their combat strategy based on the player's actions. This isn't just enemies flanking you, it's a group of goblins realizing you're weak to fire and actively trying to lead you into a burning patch of grass, or a mage prioritizing the destruction of your healing totem before attacking you directly. The goal is to make every fight feel less like a scripted encounter and more like a genuine tactical problem. This is the one I'm clearing my schedule for. If the AI lives up to the hype, it will fundamentally change how we approach combat in first-person RPGs, forcing players to think several steps ahead and making the world feel populated by genuinely intelligent adversaries. It's the kind of systemic depth that elevates a good RPG to a legendary one. The Wise series has always been a fantastic blend of fast-paced action and classic JRPG storytelling, and Wise X, Proud Nordics, is tackling the delicate balance of accessibility for casual players versus challenge for the hardcore. They've introduced a new cross-action system that allows players to switch between a simplified single-button combat mode and a complex two-character linked mode. This is brilliant. A newcomer can jump in, enjoy the story, and feel like a hero, while veterans can dive into the linked mode for the deep, high-skill ceiling action the series is known for. It's a masterclass in design that respects both audiences. I've been waiting for a game to challenge me like this. While I appreciate the accessibility, I'm personally going straight for the hardcore linked mode. The idea of managing two characters simultaneously, chaining their attacks and parries, promises a level of demanding, rewarding action that few other games can match. It's a perfect example of how to modernize a long-running franchise without alienating its core fanbase. The latest Resident Evil title, Requiem, is a departure, and the most intriguing element is its focus on multiplayer and co-op potential. Rumors suggest a two-player, story-driven campaign where the characters have asymmetric abilities, one focused on close-quarters combat and the other on puzzle-solving and support. This isn't just tacking on a co-op mode, it's building the core horror experience around shared vulnerability. Imagine the tension of being separated by a locked door, hearing the other player scream as they try to solve a pressure plate puzzle while a monster closes in on you. The horror is amplified by the need to rely on another human being. It feels like a passion project, and that's infectious. The developers seem genuinely excited about creating a shared survival horror experience, forcing players to communicate and coordinate under extreme duress. If they can maintain the series' signature atmosphere and tension while dividing the player's attention, this could be the most terrifying co-op game ever made. So there it is. 15 games, 15 completely different reasons to be excited, nervous, or cautiously optimistic about February. From the quiet, emotional honesty of Lovish to the sheer technical spectacle of Aces of Thunder, this month is a perfect microcosm of everything the PS5 has to offer. If you had to pick just one game from this list to play on day one, the one you're clearing your entire schedule for, which one is it? And what is the single specific thing that has you the most hyped? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the PS5's February lineup, please consider hitting that like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you want more of this kind of unique, honest game analysis, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Go play something great. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.